Would I be the jerk if I said my stepsister could not be my bridesmaid again after she begged me to reconsider? I, 27 female, asked my sister, 26 female, to be my only bridesmaid or maid of honor. We're so close that she's the only person I want to have as a bridesmaid. But we have a stepsister, Leah, 24 female, and Leah wants to be a bridesmaid too. My mom married Leah's dad when I was 10 and Leah was 7. My parents were divorced, and Leah's parents were not together either, but she didn't have any contact with her mom while my sister and I primarily lived with our dad. When we were at mom's, neither my sister nor I were close to Leah. I found Leah really annoying, and she never grew on me. I know she was younger, and being an only child with no mom in her life, she might have wanted a bigger family, and she probably looked up to my sister and me. But I found her very clingy and whiny, and my mom and Leah's dad did not help because she could whine, and we had to include her, or if she annoyed them generally, she would be dumped on us, and we were told we needed to spend time together. Leah used to say she had 2 sisters, but we never called her our sister. Leah used to ask to come to Dad's house with us, but we always said no. We never asked Dad to invite Leah to our house, and he threw most of our birthday parties, so we didn't invite Leah to them. I really didn't see or speak to Leah more than twice a year by the time I was 17 because I chose to live with my dad and cut way back on time with my mom. I was always civil to Leah when I did see her, and I wouldn't ignore her if we were in the same place. But do I call or make plans with her? Nope. My relationship with my mom did get a little closer in the last couple of years, so we talk more and see each other more. I think this is what led to such a big fallout and pressure for the bridesmaid thing. I got engaged several months ago. I called and told my mom. I have seen her since getting engaged as well. I went to my mom's house last week for coffee, and Leah came in with her dad. She told me she heard I got engaged, and she asked if she could be a bridesmaid, and I said no. She went into pleading mode and told me she knows I don't really want her there, but she would still love to be a bridesmaid and how she always wanted to be part of mine and my sister's lives in a bigger way, and she always wanted to be a sister to us. She said that might not happen, but it would make her whole year if she could be my bridesmaid. She emphasized again how much this mattered to her. I was going to say my answer had not changed, but she told me to really think about it and give it some time. And then my mom interrupted before I got the chance to say I was not changing my mind, and she told me it would be kind for me to include Leah because Leah has always made an effort to have a relationship, which is true, though she went about it in the wrong way most of the time. Leah's dad then decided to add that my sister and I were unfair to Leah for 17 years, and the least I could do is let her in now that I'm old enough to get married. Would I be the jerk if I say no again? Next story. My 18 male ex-girlfriend, 18 female, made out with a random guy in front of me and now wants to reconcile. What's the best move here? This Friday, I was at a friend's house for his birthday party. There were around 40 people there, including my ex, whom I dated for 2 years throughout high school. She was my first love, and I believe I was also hers. We broke up on relatively good terms in November 2023, although for the past few months I have been told she has badmouthed me to everyone she knows. Anyway, I think I still have some feelings for her, even though I understand that our relationship had many flaws. That day, when she made out and later hooked up with this random guy, a bunch of her female friends started literally applauding her. I felt so bad that I tried to drink myself into a coma. I haven't had any interest in anyone else since we broke up, so that hurt really bad. However, I recognize she has every right to kiss and have intimacy with anyone she wants. Given that we broke up a while ago, it would be very unfair of me to demand anything from her. This Saturday, nonetheless, she messaged me. I didn't apologize or anything like that, but I was asked to meet up in person this Tuesday. I've been told by her best friend that this is an attempt to get back together, or at least keep me in a friends with benefits situation. I agreed to the meetup, but I'm still confused as to what I should do when I actually get there. I've been totally torn apart these days. I still love her, but the image of her doing things to that guy right in front of me is haunting me. Also, she was very possessive during our relationship, and I don't think the both of us have significantly changed in order to make our new relationship different from what it used to be. Should I get back together with her? Moreover, why would she even message me right now, right after she made out with another dude right in front of me? What should I do now? Next story. I, 26 male, just discovered that my girlfriend, 27 female, of 6 years, has recently started using my credit card without my knowledge or consent. A few weeks ago, I discovered that my girlfriend took my credit card without asking to get herself lunch. When I noticed immediately when my card wasn't in my wallet and made it very clear that what she did was not okay. And while I tend to buy her lunch relatively often, it is not the same as taking it without asking or it being offered. She was incredibly apologetic, saying she didn't think about it, hasn't ever done that before, and would never do that again. Fast forward to today. I noticed an unfamiliar charge on my credit card from Amazon. I checked my order history, and nothing matches up. Just to check, I asked her if she ordered anything on Amazon recently and if she used my card to do it. She said yes both times. I asked if she'd done this before, and she said yes. I convey that I am extremely upset that not only did she steal from me, but she also broke her promise that she would never do something like that again. She was extremely apologetic again, saying she wasn't thinking and that prior to a month ago she had never done this and that despite having no reason to believe her since she broke her promise, she would never do such again. She didn't lie. Prior to that first instance about a month ago, I confirmed she had never done this before. She also provided me with a full list of everything she can recall using my card on in the last month. I've spent the last hour or so throwing all my transactions for the last 2 years into a spreadsheet and validating that everything up until about a month ago was me, and the list she gave checks out as being everything. The money isn't really the issue here. What she spent amounts to less than a day's work for me, and I am fortunate enough to not have to worry about that. What I am feeling so upset and betrayed by is how she broke her promise and went behind my back despite everything. I love her, and I don't want a month to wipe out 6 years of work and happy times. But I don't know if I can trust her anymore. Should I let this be a stupid mistake that can never happen again? Or does this end my long-term relationship? Note: I left out a good bit of detail about the recent apology. For what it's worth, it felt incredibly sincere and like she really understood that she had majorly messed up. And for the comments. I know it may seem like a trivial thing, but it's really not. The money isn't the issue. It's the lying and stealing. She has broken your trust. Those are actually very significant issues to have in a relationship. She knew what she was doing was wrong. She knew it the first time, and she knew it the second time. And in both cases, she didn't come clean herself. You caught her. So is she genuinely sorry for what she did? Or is she just sorry that she got caught? My money is on the second one. If you don't want to break up, then read her the riot act. Draw a very clear line in the sand. If this happens again, we are done. But you then need to be prepared to hold firm on that and follow through when she does, because she probably will. The sad thing is that you shouldn't even be in this position. Next story. My 25 male, girlfriend's 25 female, reaction to my best friend's death makes me uncomfortable. Last week, my best friend took his own life with no warning, note, or anything. I was obviously in shock and sort of shut down. I did not respond to any messages on anything from anyone except my closest family. When I finally responded to my girlfriend, she said that she was disappointed in me for ghosting her and that I should think about what my actions entail for those who love me. The next day, she continued this, saying, "You should think about the consequences of what you do." And she proceeded to tell me that she did not want to see me until I'd reflected on my actions. I kind of feel like I'm being held hostage here. I'm honestly kind of floored about this. I feel like one of the few people I should be able to rely on unconditionally just reprimanded me because of the way I reacted to my best friend's death. I am writing this to get some advice, because I know for sure I put on rose-tinted glasses whenever I'm with her. How do I bring this up? What do I even say here? Next story. My husband, 30 male, blurts out private matters in front of my 28 female family members. So I've been thinking about this for a couple days now, and I'm awfully confused, and I feel guilty. Please let me know if I'm wrong, or he's wrong. So, about a month ago, I had a private talk with my husband. I said that I felt uncomfortable that he was always giving really long hugs to my mom and younger 16-year-old sister. I am talking about the "I haven't seen you in forever" hug that lasts at least 10 to 15 seconds. But he never does it with the males in my family. Not my dad or brother. He usually just gives them a quick hug, a pat on the back, or a side hug. I mentioned to him that the long embraces were a bit uncomfortable for me, and I would appreciate it if he would just do normal quick hugs. Also, people in our family could easily get to talking if they saw him do that, especially with my younger sister. They might think he's a creep. So I told him if he could please stop doing that. He said he didn't see anything wrong with it, but okay. He looked rather annoyed, but we went about our day. Fast forward to a couple of days ago. My husband and I were going to pick up our child from my parents' house. As we walked in their door, my younger, 16-year-old sister walked up and attempted to hug my husband. My husband tried to fist pump her instead, and the whole exchange was awkward now because it looked rude. My mom and sister give him a weird look and ask him, "What's up with you?" I even gave him a weird look, because that was just plain rude. He then condescendingly said, "Don't ask me. Ask her," and proceeded to point at me. I was so embarrassed and put on the spot. He blurted out, "She doesn't want me to greet you guys." My privacy felt so invaded, so I reacted pretty angrily. I didn't want to just sit there and let him get away with that. I told him that he's such a fake person and an unloyal husband for blurting out a conversation that we had in private. He looked rather embarrassed that I was being loud and upfront. I told him, "Well, if you're going to embarrass me in front of my family, then I will." At this point, my parents had to get involved because they were literally all in the same room. And immediately, my parents are scolding me and telling me that I'm being manipulative by trying to control his affection. I should be glad he wants to be affectionate and loving with my family members. I told them that it's not that I don't want him to stop being affectionate, it's how he does it. Acting like you haven't seen them in decades and embracing them for more than 15 seconds is not comfortable for me. My mom said she had no issue with it personally, but my little sister stayed quiet. I also never told him to be rude and awkward in the process. They still didn't get it, and said I was being mean by calling him unloyal and fake. Now that I look back, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But anyhow, I know I sound like a witch. I just reacted so quick, and I wanted to defend myself from him blurting out our private conversations. I thought we had come to an understanding before, but I guess not. So we drove home in silence. And now it's a couple days later, and I'm still upset and feel broken. I feel I can't trust him. I have never done this to him. I would never think of embarrassing him like that. Am I being dramatic? What if the next time he decides to blurt out something we both privately talked about? What if he embarrasses me again? I will have a talk with him tomorrow, but for now, I just need some advice and thoughts because I'm starting to feel guilty. Thank you. Side note, my parents are really close to my husband. I think they have this kind of sadness for him since his family lives in a whole different state and he has no family here in town, besides like one aunt and two cousins. So they really defend him quite a lot in general. And I think he knows that and loves that. I, on the other hand, am not close with his family at all. In fact, they are very cold. Update. Thank you all for the comments and advice, whether positive or negative. I've realized there are many deeply seated issues I need to deal with on my own. As for my husband, he apologized to me for making it about other people's issues and wants to figure out a middle ground. I also exchanged apologies. We were both wrong in our own ways. Let's see some comments. Oh honey, there's nothing wrong with him giving long hugs, as long as your mother and sister are also okay with it. Some folks like different kinds of contact based on who it is. I have friends that I hug like it's been years every time, while others get a wave. It all depends on individual comfort. If your head goes to "it's inappropriate," then maybe you need to spend less time on Reddit. For the majority of folks I know, this wouldn't be anything close to a red flag. Another commenter said, "This is definitely your problem. I don't think anyone else would see a long hug between family members as creepy unless there were inappropriate touches going on. You said yourself that your husband's family is physically distant, so he is close with yours. That's really all there is to it. At least that's all there was until you made it weird. Examine why you feel uncomfortable with this affection." Next story. Am I the jerk for telling my parents that I blame them instead of my brother? I, 15 male, turned 15 last Thursday and had my party that Friday. Everything was going well until my nephew, 5 male, came. I didn't even want him to come because he's not well behaved at all, but they told me that they didn't want him to feel excluded by everyone else being invited, and they'd just have my brother watch him better. I told my dad that I didn't want him coming because I didn't want him throwing a fit all night, but they told me that he wouldn't be and that I shouldn't be dramatic. They told me that they didn't want their grandchild to be upset because he wouldn't be there, and if something does go wrong, they'll take responsibility for it. My nephew threw my freaking birthday cake on the floor. So something did go wrong. He was upset that he didn't get to blow out the candles, and he started screaming and crying when my brother held him back. After he calmed down, he literally dug his hands into the cake and slid it to the floor. I was disappointed, not surprised. My brother and parents were apologetic, and my brother compensated our parents for my cake and apologized to me. It's been 3 days, and I'm basically over it now, but my brother called me after school and told me that he wanted to take me out for an apology birthday dinner, but I told him that I was fine and that our parents were already planning on getting me another cake, so it wasn't really a big deal. He asked me if I was sure, and I told him that I was, and I thanked him for giving them the money. I told him I was already planning on going out with my friends, and we could do it another time. After that, we kind of talked some more before he hung up. When my parents got home, they told me that my brother told them that morning that he was going to invite me out, and they asked me if I accepted it. When I told them I didn't, they got mad at me for refusing and said that I probably made him feel worse than he already does. He didn't sound hurt to me. I told them that he already gave them money to pay for the cake, and I'm grateful for that. I told them that I don't blame him at all, and I blame them instead. I said that if they felt bad, it could have been avoided if they didn't invite my nephew in the first place, and that they said that they were going to take responsibility, but instead they are making my brother pay for the cake they said they were responsible for. They got mad when I said this and said that they didn't mean to ruin my birthday and that they didn't want my nephew and brother to feel left out. My parents have been acting pretty cold to me since, but I'm not too worried. Whenever we have a disagreement, they usually ignore me until the next day, and they magically forget everything that happened. I'm just confused if I was wrong or not. Next story. Am I the jerk for refusing to make breakfast for my father-in-law? I, a 25-year-old female, recently got married, 8 months, to my 28-year-old husband. My father-in-law came to visit 3 days ago, and when he arrived late at night, I was shocked because we were not expecting him until a day ago. I'm heavily pregnant, and I could easily pop anytime from now on. My energy levels have dropped significantly, and I can barely do any housework. The day he arrived, I was lucky because I had prepared the meal in bulk for meal prep, as I'm doing this to save energy. So I served him the food, and it wasn't a problem at all. Now, fast forward to today. My father-in-law has an interview, but last night both he and my husband didn't let me know what time he was going to leave. I was woken up early this morning by my husband to iron his father's clothes. I didn't want to, but I did it. I haven't been well lately due to pregnancy, and getting out of bed is a bit hard. My husband then went on to scroll on his phone while I did the ironing. He didn't bother to at least boil water for his father's breakfast. After I was done ironing, he asked why I hadn't made breakfast for his father, and went on to say I don't love his relatives. I went back to bed and told him I wasn't well and that I wasn't going to make breakfast. He went on to say he can't wait for me to go to my parents. After I give birth, I'm meant to stay at my parents' and learn a few things about the baby, because I've become useless. And for the comments. Oh dear, not the jerk at all. This is so awful to read. Your husband is a giant jerk. You are being treated like a servant, a maid, and not an equal partner. Is there any chance that you can go to your parents or good friends? I would not stay in this hostile environment. Please visit the subsection on abusive relationships for more information on how to leave this marriage. You deserve a partner who loves and respects you. No one should call another human useless. This is an awful relationship, and it will only get worse. Would I be a jerk for not bringing my baby to see my husband's extended family because they ignored me at our baby shower? I, 27 female, am expecting a baby with my husband, 28 male. My mother-in-law, 62 female, threw a baby shower for us, which was honestly super sweet. I have always gotten along with my husband's family and have never once even had a small argument with them. We traveled about a 5-hour drive for the baby shower. We showed up first, and guests started showing up. They would drop off gifts, and then they all sat away from my husband, and I saved for my husband's immediate family. His extended family didn't talk to me at all. What really happened was that they were all focused on his one cousin. I tried to say hi to people, but they mostly weren't interested and waved and talked to his cousin. Even when it came time to open gifts, that cousin was ignoring us and loudly talking to people the whole time. She kind of made herself the center of attention. I don't dislike her at all, but I ended up feeling hurt and ignored. We originally planned on bringing the baby to visit everyone a couple months after birth, due in a couple weeks. But now I told my husband I don't really want to make the trip just so they can ignore us and coddle the baby. I'm grateful for the presents, but we want to spend time with family and mostly ended up feeling ignored. My husband thinks it's a bit harsh, but I think it's a big trip to make for people who were honestly pretty rude. Would I be a jerk if we waited until the holidays to visit? And for our last story of today, am I the jerk for kicking my in-laws out of my home? I, 27 female, have an 8-month-old daughter with my husband, 38 male. We have had issues with his father and stepmother since the beginning of our relationship, but we have done our best to keep things civil for my husband's sake. Currently, my husband is overseas in the military and left when our daughter was 3 days old. This past weekend, my husband begged me to let his parents come meet our daughter, and I was told they would stay at a hotel. The plans were to meet at my aunt's home during the day so they could meet our daughter. Well, Thursday night, there was a knock at the door at 10 p.m. It was his dad with his stepmother. They came early, and no hotels were affordable. They ended up in the guest room. My husband apologizes. He had no idea why they were there, but asked me to make it work because he was busy with work. Well, early Friday morning, I woke up to my baby screaming in her crib in my room. His stepmother had picked her up from her crib and apologized, saying that the baby was awake, so she thought it would be fine to pick her up. I ended up grabbing my daughter and telling her to get out of my room. She said nothing but left, and I admit, I was harsh in tone. The whole day, I have been becoming increasingly annoyed because they complained about dust, that I had a pile of laundry to wash, and that they felt that it was unfair that my family is around the baby more than his. Mind you, they live over 12 hours away, and my family is within 1 hour of me. After I got my daughter down for bed, we were eating dinner when his stepmother asked me if I was going to apologize for snapping at her this morning in my room. I told her no, she shouldn't have been in my room to begin with, and then she said, "Well, my therapist told me to tell you how I feel, and I feel that you are an ungrateful witch. We came here to see our granddaughter and help you out, but we came here to get snapped at in the morning. My son's house is a mess, and you won't even let her cry for more than a few minutes before you scoop her away from us." That is when I told them to pack their things and leave. All hell broke loose, and we got into a huge argument. I ended up calling the police to remove them from the house. And now all of his family are telling me that I'm a jerk. They called my husband while he was sleeping, and he felt that I may have taken it too far by kicking them out. Others are telling me I was a jerk. So am I really the jerk here? Thank you for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe for more stories.